Thank you, Chairman Bowman, for that wonderful and flattering introduction. By the way, you read it exactly as my mother wrote it, so I appreciate that. Now, to you graduates, you have endured 3 or in some cases 4 years of having to give your utmost attention in class, and you got to suffer a few more minutes yet. I just want to say, public speakers, we know when our audience is attentive or when they're multitasking. We know when you're engaged or when you're checking your phones. Seriously, nobody just looks down at their crotch and smiles, all right? So we get that. It's a very impressive group of graduates, I have to say. I know a few of you are graduating magna cum laude. Some of you are graduating summa cum laude. The rest of you, thank you, laude. But, well, first, I also want to acknowledge all the amazing faculty, my fellow trustees, administration of the university that are here on the platform. And as your commencement speaker, it's my job to impart words of wisdom on this very momentous occasion. Now, I'm not going to get too philosophical or give all the usual tired advice. I mean, after all, Socrates was a wise Greek philosopher who walked around giving advice to people, and they poisoned him. So, more than a couple of decades ago, as you just heard, I sat exactly where you're sitting. I, too, am a Widener Commonwealth law graduate. Now, I arrived at Widener about halfway between the invention of the smartphone and the discovery of fire. So, when I started law school, we didn't have the internet in our pants. In fact, we didn't even have the internet not in our pants. That's how long ago it was. But I have to tell a quick story from my days here at Widener. In my first semester of law school, I took legal methods, as you all did. And I'm not sure exactly how it is now, but back then we had 3 projects that made up our first semester grade. We had to write a 2-page memo and a 10-page memo, and then we had to write a brief. Now, of course, in law school, and maybe your families and guests don't know this, but you get very little graded feedback in law school. Every class pretty much comes down to one final exam, except for legal methods. You get those 3 graded projects, or at least that's how it worked for us. So you really clamor for every scrap of graded feedback, especially at the beginning of law school. So our professor said our first memos were going to be graded and in our mailboxes by 5 o'clock on a Friday. So, of course, at 5:01, I was there ready to pick up my memo, and I was certain that there would be heaping praise written in the margins. And there on the top of the paper was my grade, 2 out of 10. Yes, you too can be a commencement speaker. Now, luckily I bounced back, but today I have 5 short and sweet pearls of wisdom for you. The first, and I'll get the school marmish one out of the way first, pass the bar. All the other pearls of wisdom about the lofty legal careers in front of you won't count if you don't first pass the bar exam. So tonight, hit the bars, all right? You've earned it, you deserve it. Tomorrow, grab the Advil and hit the books. Do at least 1,500 multi-state practice questions between now and the end of July. That was the advice that was given to me. It worked pretty well. Follow your bar prep schedule and do what these professors are telling you to do. Make us proud. And remember this, bar prep is like colonoscopy prep. It's tremendously helpful, but you don't want to repeat it, all right? So make that your full-time job. Now, for my second pearl of wisdom, I want to quote Lenin. Not Vladimir Lenin the Russian, but John Lennon the Beatle. He said, "Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans." So by all means, plan your career, plan your professional journey, but don't forget to make those non-billable hours count. Leave time to live your life. Time for your family, time for your significant other, time for your children, either those present or yet to come. Time to contemplate, time to be spontaneous, time to love, time to take care of yourself, to exercise, find balance. The real world is a busy place. Don't let your careers consume you. Now, the third one is, don't sling too much BS around with that new law degree. Now, let me put that in more dignified commencement speaker terms. A wise man knows what he doesn't know. When we get that JD, we think, hey, they only give those to smart people. I know stuff, right? Now, you're going to get asked questions by clients and family members and friends, probably a few people in the restrooms after the ceremony ends. And the last thing on earth a new law graduate wants to admit is that they don't know the answer to a legal question. So new lawyers are going to use every important sounding term that we know to try to avoid that from happening. The verbal gymnastics are fun to watch. Well, the mens rea required for adverse possession is inversely proportional to the square root of an isosceles triangle. Yeah, that's it. I see. But there are three words that really we should all make a vital part of our vocabulary, and those are, I don't know. You can even make a joke out of it. Sometimes I'll tell a client, hey, I don't know, but when was the last time you heard a lawyer give you an honest answer? And when I say this, clients find it a little refreshing and even disarming when I say that. So then I go look up the answer, and while they're disarmed, I bill them for looking up the answer. So it works out very well. Now, law school, my point is, law school only really scratches the surface of all the stuff you really have to know to practice law. So remember that earning your JD is only one step on a long journey of learning and understanding and practicing the law. There is no shame in admitting we lawyers don't know everything. Learning is a lifelong skill. Say, I don't know when you don't know. And remember, BS emits methane gas, so don't hurt the planet by spreading any more of it around with your law degrees. Fourth, say yes to leadership whenever those opportunities present themselves. Not long after I graduated from this place, I was asked to help judge first-year moot court arguments, and I said, who, me? And then I was asked to teach the health law course, which I still do, and I said, who, me? And then some years ago, I was out to dinner with one of the previous deans, and she asked me to serve on the law school's board of advisors. And I remember literally looking to my left and then to my right, thinking the dean must have been talking to someone else. And that was a little embarrassing because we were the only two people at the table. But then just last year, the acting president of the university asked me to serve on the university's board of trustees. And at every step, I always said, who, me? And each time the answer was, yes, you. So I am here to say, yes, you. You will be the leaders of our profession in the not too distant future. Do you want to be the president of the county or the state bar association? Then help out with a local CLE program. Do you want to be a U.S. Supreme Court justice? And I am confident that among the ranks of our alumni there is or will be one. Then serve in your local bar, your JCs, your Rotary Club. They say that people are born leaders. I think that's bogus. Leadership is an art. It's a skill set. It can be learned. It can be practiced. It can be improved. So study leadership, learn leadership, practice leadership. Always strive to improve yourself as a leader. And remember that nobody ever learned anything while they were busy talking. We were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Leaders must be good listeners. Fifth and finally, when you get to the top, turn around and send the ladder back down for the next person. Teach, mentor, volunteer, lead, and give. Help the next batch of law students and those who come after you. Now I'll close with one more quick memory. When I was starting my second year of law school, I was giving my newborn son a bath. The phone rang, my wife answered. She came in and said in slightly hushed, awed tones, "The law school dean is on the phone." I said, "Holy crap." Except I'm not certain I used the word crap, but I hear babies in the audience, so my first thought, I have to be honest, was, well, when they kick students out of law school, at least they do it with a personal phone call from the dean. That's a nice touch. My wet hands picked up the phone, and the dean told me that I had been awarded a Widener scholarship. That covered half of my tuition for the rest of law school. Again, I said, "Holy crap." My head was spinning, so I'm really not sure to this day if I actually said that to the dean. I might have. But in case you were wondering, don't worry. My son's bath finished uneventfully. He is here with us today. He's now 6'3", and he's graduating from college. in a few weeks, just to give you some perspective on the passage of time, and he's here with his 2 sisters as well. But one of the things, and my point in that story, there's 5 minutes of your life you'll never get back, but one of the things that phone call instilled in me was the importance of giving back to this place that gave so much to me, if I could steal Brett Kiesling's thunder for a second. Not just the scholarship award, but the education. The faculty here is tremendous, and the quality of the education you received here is second to none. Second to none. I began donating to the law school the year after I graduated, and I've done so every year since. A few years back, I had the good fortune to endow a scholarship to help give others the same chance that I had, and my firm also makes charitable giving and pro bono service a priority. So remember that we can't just stand on someone else's shoulders and call ourselves tall. Whatever success you achieve in life will be the result of your hard work, of that I have no doubt. But it will also be the result of the efforts of your teachers, your family, your friends, and sometimes even a little bit of luck. So remember to help out those who come after you. After all, as Churchill said, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. To the families and the friends of these graduates, congratulations to all of you who have supported them and suffered more than your graduate probably realizes. So graduates, as soon as this ceremony ends, but before the celebrating begins, give some very sincere hugs and some very meaningful thank yous to your loved ones. I was moved by Zach's comments. Unfortunately, I share a bond with him. Both my parents passed away shortly before I graduated from law school, and I never got the chance to tell them all that their support meant to me while I was in law school. So listen to Zach's words and to these words. Don't put off saying those things that need to be said, the things that are in your heart. And to all of you graduates, congratulations on this very exciting, very meaningful day in your lives. You have done an enormous thing. There are many who will be watching eagerly to see how your careers will unfold. The truly exciting thing about the rest of your lives is that there is no core curriculum. From here on out, it is all an elective. So chart a path that interests you and that serves others well. Stay motivated and always practice law with the degree of enthusiasm that you must be feeling right now. And when you take off your cap and gown today, I sincerely hope you have clothes on underneath. So, thank you and congratulations to all of you.